Okay. All right, y'all. My eighth grade social studies teacher
Mr. Hall.
taught me things that turned out after doing my own research was not always the whole story. So this week we will examine the Supreme Court case Brandenburg versus Ohio. Brandenburg is an example of a landmark case, in this case regarding the First Amendment protections regarding freedom of speech. For the uninitiated, a landmark decision, according to Britannica in the US, is one that changes the interpretation of existing laws by establishing a new legal principle, overturning prior precedent, distinguishing a new principle that refines a prior principle, thus departing from a prior practice without violating the rule of stare decisis, or by establishing a test or a measurable standard that can be applied by courts in future decisions. In the United States, basically, a landmark case is they're setting some type of precedent for the future. That's a long way of saying that. In the United States, landmark court decisions come most frequently from the Supreme Court. Wikipedia states that the U.S. Appellate Court may also make such decisions, particularly if the Supreme Court chooses not to review the case or if it adopts the holding of the lower court. That basically means that the Supreme Court doesn't always make the final decision, but it's up to them to determine whether they want to take a case. But if they don't, the circuit courts of appeals that represent every single circuit representing all of the United States, if the Supreme Court decides not to take it, then the appellate courts will their decision will stand. So on to the specifics of Brandenburg. Clarence Brandenburg, a Ku Klux Klan leader in Hamilton County, Ohio, contacted a reporter at a Cincinnati. Clarence Brandenburg contacted a reporter at a Cincinnati television station, invited him to cover a KKK rally in 1964. The TV station accepted and filmed the rally, showing several men in KKK hoods and robes, carrying firearms, burning a cross, and then making speeches which used slurs against people of color, Jews, and those who supported them. Brandenburg, who apparently appointed himself as the keynote speaker of his own prestigious event, closed out the festivities with a speech of his own, and some that ended up being broadcast on television. He yammered, "If our president, our Congress, our Supreme Court continues to suppress the white Caucasian race, it's possible that there might have to be some revengeance taken."
Yeah.
It should be noted that when he said that, revengeance is not a word and is totally made up.
No,
Since then,
white privilege.
the word has indeed gained meaning among the hillbilly elites. I ain't write that. An Urban Dictionary says, quote, "It's revenge at least 2.54 times greater than the standard of revenge. So watch out."
Wow,
anyway,
they put a number value on that?
I think Dutch put a number value on that. But actually, no, it looks like it's on Urban Dictionary. So maybe they made it up. Anyway.
Wow.
He also announced plans for a march on Congress to take place on the 4th of July. Another speech advocated for the forced expulsion of African Americans to Africa and Jewish Americans to Israel. Although there is no evidence that Marjorie Taylor Greene was conceived that evening, it should be noted that she was born 10 years later, and the gestational period of people from the moons of Jupiter is not yet known. I'm just throwing that out there. Do your own research. Dutch wrote this again. I ain't write this, y'all. Y'all gonna be like, why did she make that joke? I didn't. Okay. After the TV station aired this, Brandenburg was arrested and charged with breaking a local Ohio law called the Ohio Criminal Syndicalism Act. This law made it illegal to advocate crime, sabotage, violence, or terrorism as a means of accomplishing industrial or political reform. It also prohibited assembling with any society, group, or assemblage or persons formed to teach or advocate the doctrines of criminal syndicalism. According to casebrief.com, the synopsis is that speech can be prohibited if it is directed at inciting or producing imminent lawless action, and it is likely to incite or produce such action. A local court convicted Brandenburg, fining him $1,000 and sentenced him to 1 to 10 years in prison. Brandenburg, however, argued that his actions were protected by both the First and 14th Amendments. Now, Brandenburg hated the ACLU, but nevertheless, when he ran out of money to defend himself, he reached out to the ACLU for help. And they said, okay.
Pause.
Go ahead.
That's mighty white of him.
Well, everyone can be a welfare
Just
queen.
like Biden was just talking about how the Republicans voted against the infrastructure bill, but then privately lobbying for projects to get sent over to their states.
It's giving socialism.
I have a question.
Sure.
What is the 14th Amendment?
Due process.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know what the first and second are, but all the rest of them is just
protections. Kind of like, yeah, I believe it's equal. Now I should know this off the top of my head, but I believe it's equal protections and due process. 14th Amendments. Okay. The case was appealed to the County Court of Appeals, which he lost, and then to the Ohio Supreme Court, who dismissed the case without any opinion on it. The Ohio courts used the case Dennis versus United States as precedent that the speech was not protected under the U.S. Constitution. What was Dennis versus the United States, you ask? That is a 1948. That is a 1948 case where 11 Communist Party leaders were convicted of advocating the violent overthrow of the United States government. The 11 party members, who have been petitioning for socialist reforms, claimed that the Smith Act violated their First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and that their political party presented no danger to the nation. Quick tangent on the Dennis case, which took place in the infancy of the Cold War. In that case, the prosecution did not say that the defendants had any specific plan to violently overthrow the U.S. government, but rather that the communist philosophy itself generally advocates for it. To prove this, the prosecution offered as evidence articles, pamphlets, and books by authors such as Karl Marx, and argued that adopting pro-communist texts as their political foundation, the defendants were personally guilty. Where was the ACLU for the Dennis case? One might ask. Well, they did quietly endorse a motion for dismissal, but the very anti-communist and pro-Smith Act ACLU did not defend the accused. Interesting, says Dutch. But they sure went out of their way for Brandenburg. You'd think after the Ohio Supreme Court didn't even look at the case, the ACLU would leave Brandenburg to his own resources, but no, they petitioned the Supreme Court of the United States. And just before I go on, basically what happens is that if a case is appealed up to the highest level of the state, the state courts, if the last level of appeal is to go to the Supreme Court, and it's up to the Supreme Court to decide if they want to take it. So that's what this is describing here. Anyway, the Supreme Court heard the arguments in early 1969, with Brandenburg himself being left home and not being called to testify. The Supreme Court of the United States announced its decision on June 8th, 1969, and get this, the liberal court, so-called, sided with Brandenburg unanimously. Even the civil rights leader and first ever Black Justice Thurgood Marshall sided with Brandenburg. They argued that the Ohio Criminal Syndicalism Act violated his right to free speech by a score of 9-0. This established what is known as the Brandenburg test, aka the imminent lawless action test, which strengthened the clear and present danger doctrine and overturned the bad tendency test. The three distinct elements of this test are 1, the intent to speak, 2, the imminence of lawlessness, and 3, the likelihood of lawlessness. In other words, speech can be banned if it is, quote, directing and is also likely to produce or incite lawless actions, unquote. So to sum it up, even unpopular and offensive speech was protected by Brandenburg, and interestingly, is also used to protect the creators of violent video games, which many falsely accuse of being a key factor in gun violence. That is your dig on America.
Let me tell you something. I have pwned so many noobs online. I should be like Thanos.
You're such a fucking nerd.
I have over 1 million as a body count. I should literally be just destroying worlds with the snap of my finger.
Yeah, Mike is just gonna rock up with his big old glove with little gems in it, and just be like,
I mean, if what they say, if the stories are true, that video games make you violent, I am the worst. I am the worst that has ever lived.
I'm telling you, I didn't kick the hell. I kicked the fuck out of people playing video games.
Wait, okay, I didn't know where you was going with that. I'm like, why are you kicking people?
I played Contra, which was like basically a guerrilla warfare game. I played Rift Raid. I played
Pac-Man,
Kung Fu Master, Pac-Man, Mike Tyson's Punch Out, all the violent games.
Wow.
I played the first Doom on the keyboard with the space bar where I get motion.
Can I ask the panel with a show of hands, how many on the panel own a gun?
I don't.
Not yet.
I should. But see, I'd be worried because I would shoot somebody probably. Like, because I would get scared. No, I'm being for real. I'm a person who probably needs like, a gun for the house, but also like I probably need like a stun gun or a taser or something that's just less serious. Because if I get scared, I really hope you don't get shot. Like for real. Like, please don't try me because I would.
American culture is just so fucking alien to me.
I am so sorry we have this ghetto country that y'all just looking at, but you cannot trust anything going on over here.
Don't pay them no mind.
My daughter snuck into the house, back into the house like 3-something in the morning, and she's rustling around downstairs. She almost got shot.
Hey.
Well, there you go. Why fucking have a gun? I'm going down there like a bit punchy.
No.
You can't just be going down nowhere punchy because what if they got a gun?
Because they don't have guns in the UK.
Wayne has never.
That's exactly why. I know what y'all be doing though. Y'all be over there getting stabbed though.
Hold on, Anna.
I'll be having a stern word.
Hold on a second, Anna.
A stern word to get you shot.
He has never had to deal with an armed assailant, so he speaks from this fairy tale land like they won't pull up guns and go into your house and take your stuff.
Don't get me wrong. I'll whack a cricket bat around someone's head next in no time.
Yeah, but by the time you raise the cricket bat, I'm already like black.
Yeah, there's gonna be some cricketing.
In America, it ain't even no.
Right, we at the gas.
It ain't no.
We're at the gas station like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to be, even the kids, like, it's honestly very sad that you have to be that way, but
we're not saying that we're happy about it.
Well, maybe you should get rid of your guns. Just everyone get rid of your guns.
Wayne, we been trying. We trying, Wayne. We trying.
We had one gun massacre, like a school shooting, right, back in 1991, I think, and we just got rid of handguns. Said no, I'm not doing it. Got rid of
not in America.
Don't you?
We had our vice president get shot in the face.
Yeah,
but that's what we doing
by accident.
No. And he shot him in the face.
I mean,
he didn't get shot.
He was playing Duck Hunter and shot somebody.
Right.
Yeah, go and get the elk. Go and pick it up. Go and pick it up.
That is un-American banter that you're giving right now. Get rid of all the guns.
Get rid of the guns. We've been trying to. They ain't gonna do that.
Think how many bridges you could make out of all them melted down guns.
This isn't Game of Thrones.
Do you mean common sense, Wayne? That sounds like common sense, and we don't have it. We do not have it.
I wish that this was the type of country where we didn't need guns and that it would be like that. Do you know how many school shootings we've had here? And what
in the last probably month, like not even just
what do the powers that be say when we have school shootings?
Prayers.
We need more guns. We need more. We need to arm the teachers. Give the kids a bulletproof backpack and arm the teachers. That's what the solution is here.
Do you know how many school shootings we've had since Dunblane?
0.
There you go.
Sounds like a safe country.
Hey, Wayne, why don't you come over here and try that over here? Wayne's got it all figured out. Just take the guns away. Come on over here, Wayne. You can go door to door.
Yeah,
go
all
to
the
the door.
door talking to.
Yeah.
What?
Hello, I'm Wayne. I've come to take your gun.
The over under on when you would get shot is one door.
Yeah.
I know.
You'd be lucky if they even opened the door before they
They
started
might shoot
firing.
you through the
No,
door.
Mikey,
the screen at least.
Mikey, I'm starting at your house.
Oh,
Mikey,
then
come
you
on.
definitely getting smoked, boy.
Still one door. It's still one door.
You Smokey the Bear up and don't come at night.
Try to tell you.
Mikey, smell this. Does it smell like chloroform?
Yeah. I got my little one on the way, and you trying to come in the house? Oh no, no. Not this
Very
house.
crazy.
Better
Very
try the neighbors.
crazy.
I just do my big Driss Cumberbatch impression, and you'll be like, "Oh, he seems like fun."
Yeah.
I'll
Is that
give
what
him
you're
my
gonna
gun.
do? Is that what you're gonna do? Bleed
Yeah.
into the hospital?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Because it's crazy here. No, we not getting rid of the guns. Remember when Ray Lewis was like, I think they should have a program where we just put trash cans on the corner and everybody just dump their guns. I'm like, ain't you a murderer? Aren't you a murderer?
He did not snitch on the murder.
We have knife bins where
I think he
people
was
can
the
put their
murderer.
knives.
No. He just didn't snitch on the dude that stabbed other dudes to death.
I don't believe that, but okay. Y'all got the garbage cans for the knives?
Yeah.
And how many knives do y'all get in there?
I don't know. It's not my lookout. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
He why are you trying to get him to dry snitch on here? Like he been keeping a track of the gun, like of the knives.
I like steaks, so I can't be giving my knives away.
You trying to get him to dry snitch on here. Do not be snitching on them people.
You know, the first thing I would do is I would make my own bin and sit it next to the regular bin. And like, if that one's full, put it in this one.
That's how they did the votes.
I'd have all the knives.
Remember when they set up them fake voting places? They was like, "Oh, you don't got nowhere to drop your ballot? Drop it in here.
Drop it in here."
And it'd be the trash.
Bullshit.
Goes right in here. Big dog.
Anna, what state are you in?
I'm in New Jersey. I'm from Michigan.
Damn, you could have made up a state. He won't even know.
Brick City, baby.
Have you ever been to New Jersey?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
I never been to America.
Oh, really?
And he's not
No.
That's why he talks like this.
Would you not come because of the guns?
No, I've just not had the opportunity. I've been to Moscow.
You got 3 opportunities right here. You can come over anytime you want. I got a very comfortable couch.
Cheers, mate.
That's
There's
a
an
very
invite.
comfortable couch.
I'm telling you, it's made for napping.
I'm not going to make you up a nice king size bed. You know, get your nut
What
down
do you
there,
think?
son.
What do you think that we are not what we are on TV? Don't everybody have mansions? We're not all.
I do have a guest bedroom, but the couch is
No, but you have big wide roads. Like in the UK, like roads are tiny. If you were to bring,
my lord!
If you were to bring like a '69 Charger over here, it would take a week for you to just get around my town, just for the corners.
Because the roads are so thin.
Yeah.
I've driven in London twice, and let me just tell you what. First of all, y'all got me confused on the left and right turns with everything being on the different side of it. I'm like, okay, I know Americans do things differently. I can understand and appreciate that. But here's my question. If I'm making a left turn, does it make sense for me to go all the way around somebody? Like you're going further to go around than you would if it was switched.
You're doing it wrong.
You mean a right turn?
No, I mean a left turn.
If you're turning left, you're on the left-hand side of the road. You just turn left.
But y'all on the right-hand side. So you turn left, but you're already on the right.
You got it backwards, Anna. You got it backwards.
Y'all on the left?
Yeah.
So thing down, flip it,
right turn,
and reverse it.
I'm talking about in the car. In the car, you're on the right-hand side.
No. Yeah, in the car, you're in the car. You're on the right hand side, but you drive on the
when you're making a left turn, though, it just seems extra wide because you're already on the right.
Oh,
is
yeah,
what
it
I'm
throws you
saying.
off.
Like it just seems really, really wide to make a left turn.
just kind of follow the curve of the road. It's just
I almost got into a few accidents. It don't matter. I almost got into a few accidents. We figured it out.
How did you get on with roundabouts?
You just do them. Like I'm like, listen, either y'all get into an accident or we get into an accident. I don't know.
Anna went in there like, all right.
Hey,
Anna was like this.
I'm
Anna
sure
was like
y'all
double
care.
dutch.
Right, you're like,
Anna
you're
was
like,
like double dutch. She was like,
you get to the top of
Somebody
the
got
roundabout and you're like,
insurance.
follow.
like, here we go. Here we go.
I'm like, they got insurance. I'm sure someone has insurance.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right.
They have
listen.
There's a fireball behind her.
there's
Listen,
there's a couple of roundabouts like in me and Haz's neighborhood.
Yes.
It is hilarious. Every time I get to, I'm like, baby, watch this. They're gonna stop. Yep, they're stopping.
So I
Yep,
know
they're
how
not
to do
gonna go.
roundabouts. We have roundabouts, like a lot of roundabouts in Michigan, and they're not really like the roundabouts themselves are not really difficult. It's just knowing where you have to get off on your circle.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that either. I'm like, listen, we're all guessing.
On
Whatever.
the third left.
Hey,
the way
first
you're
time I ever encountered a roundabout, I must have drove around 3 times before I got to the right spot.
Anna, the way
because I'm from Chicago, we don't do that.
No.
Anna, the way you're going on about roundabouts it reminds me of that that gif of the Joker walking away from the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Were you just minding your own business? Whatever. I'm sure y'all don't want to get into a car accident. Y'all gonna let me go. Thank you. Thank y'all. Thank everyone for participating.
But do you guys have tollways over there, Wayne?
Yes, massively.
The tolls without like we have we call it iPass. Where you
all of London is a toll. You have to pay a congestion charge to go into London.
Congestion charge.
what
That
now?
sounds like something that's a y'all like. How we
That
gonna pay
sound
for a
like
public
taxation.
problem?
That's like taxation.
I
without
was just getting ready to
representation.
ask what y'all thought about the Boston Tea Party. What do y'all think about the Boston Tea Party? Do y'all talk about it?
Not really.
Okay.
It's something you guys have to deal with. We got over.
But it had to do
time
with
ago.
taxes.
Yeah,
Did y'all ever get representation? How do y'all feel about the Queen? While I got you on here.
Whoa. Lizzie's still warm. All right. Calm down.
Is she?
He's obviously fond of her.
Is she?
All right. It's King Chaz now. King Chaz.
Looking at her history now, I would argue that she was cold before she died.
Now I will caution.
Hold
on, Wayne. I'm already going, Wayne. Just hold on a second. So I will caution.
I want to hear this.
I will caution my American friends who don't have Brit friends, tread a bit lightly when it comes to the Queen. We don't know what it's like to have a monarch leader in our country. Nerves are not quite what we would think they would be, but we've grown up never having a queen. So
I get that. I can't understand that.
I'm just worried.
People do take it a bit personally. So I would be careful of any unnecessarily callous comments in front of British people because that might be seen as highly disrespectful.
That's a fact. But here's my question. Black people are black people anywhere, right? So that's why I'm just wondering. And I'm not saying that to say like y'all hate her or love her, because I really don't know. The most discourse that I've really seen about it is on Twitter, where it's not that I engage with Black Brits all the time, but when I do, like I try to just, see what people are talking about. I felt like I really got a lot of that on Clubhouse because I felt like people were actually, talking about things and I can hear about things. But I don't really know how Black folks feel about the Queen. Like, I mean, obviously colonialism, but also that's your country woman. So like, I'm just curious about what are your thoughts about her legacy? Is it just, this is the Queen, this is our Queen, we've known her forever. She have been around forever.
For me, the monarchy is kind of like a look into the past, the sort of the colonial past of Britain, and looking at how this tiny island used to run half the fucking world. I don't get it.
Is that a sense of national pride? Sorry to cut you off, but is that like a pride thing?
No, for me, not so much. I mean, my surname, I've got an Irish surname, and the reason I've got an Irish surname is because my ancestors were owned by someone who had that name. My nan and granddad could have been called fucking anything, but because they were owned by an Irish slave owner, that's why I've got an Irish surname. So the whole colonial thing don't really bother me. I'm just like, we do this troop in the colour, all the pageantry, the fucking hats, and it's for me, it's all bollocks. I don't really care.
Okay, so
I would quite happily have a republic, because at the end of the day, it's our head of state is our king at the minute, old Chaz, and he's just figurative in the sense of all he's got to do. He gets a script given to him by the government, and he reads it out, and that's kind of the opening of Parliament. He serves no purpose.
But doesn't he have some powers though? Like
nope.
Okay.
So why is there so much deference to the monarch then? Like, if they really can't, if they're just figureheads.
I thought they got to approve certain things, like laws and stuff like that.
No. That they have to give the nod to everything, but it's kind of symbolic in the sense of the government will decide a law, and they have to go to get Queen's or now King's assent for that law. But it's kind of like a given that the Queen or King would just give that assent anyway.
So it's like a rubber stamp.
Yeah,
they sign whatever the Parliament decides to present.
Exactly, because Parliament is part of the democratic process. The King or Queen is symbolic in the sense of they just have to give it the rubber stamp, like you say, but they can't intervene, because the reason we had this separation of monarch and Parliament was because of our historical battles that we had between kings and queens, and different Scotland against England and all that kind of stuff. There's massive.
See Game of Thrones season 1.
Yeah, pretty much. Or Rings of Power.
There you go.
But yeah, so as the head of state, it is kind of just a ceremonial. What's the word I'm looking for?
Figurehead.
Figurehead, yeah. It's just they're just there just to rubber stamp things. It's already done. They're just going like, yeah, whatever. But the thing is, before King Charles became king, he was very environmental and very controversial in the sense of he used to speak to his plants, and he was seen as a bit of a weirdo. And he was very environmental. And now he is king. All that he cannot say a word on because of the role that he's in now. He has to be completely impartial. His opinion is gone. A bit like me when I had kids. So, yeah, Mikey, good luck with that.
You guys should have had my daughter, but it's too late. She's all mine.
Yeah, and you have no right to an opinion. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's British royalty in a nutshell. They are there because they produce money for tourism, and the whole nostalgia and all of the history that goes with it. But they have absolutely zero power.
Okay. So I guess my next question is, how does that impact how folks see the leader of the monarch?
Nostalgia, emotion, and tradition. Basically try and taking away our monarchy is like trying to take away your guns.
Sounds like a very ghetto situation.
Well, see, Wayne, we don't have kings over here, so you should just get rid of them. Just like that. How many monarchs have we had? See?
You used to have one.
So,
he was a king, actually. And then you kicked him out, didn't you?
We got rid of him.
Boston Tea Party.
We just say, you know what? Fuck that. Just like you guys
do.
Right.
Well, wasn't he technically
notice I'm wearing my red hoodie. I've got my red mic muff. I might go and get my red coat.
And you saw what happened last time.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Yeah, but
only
this
gotten
is-
crazier.
We definitely got all.
This
We
is
got more. guns.
2.0. This is 2.0.
So okay, knowing that it's nostalgia and everything like that, let's talk about the Black people or people of color in general.
Mhm.
Are those folks sad about the Queen's death? Does it matter? Does it not matter?
Yeah. See, my nan was she's fucking still kicking. She's 94, but she's still kicking. Massive royalist. There's a lot of, because what you got to realize is a lot of the Black people that are over here are from the Caribbean, which were all sort of like British colonies or territories. So my grandparents are from Montserrat, which is still has the British flag in the corner, and it's basically a volcano in the middle of the fucking ocean. Well done, everyone. So there's a lot of deference that's shown by a lot of West Indian people to the monarchy, because it's just basically instilled in them. It's just kind of, this this is the way. And then you've also got a lot of people from Africa, again, who were colonized by Britain, who still show deference to the Queen and show, oh, the Queen is amazing, she's this, she's that. You never met her. You don't give a fuck. You've just been told that this is the way. And
This is the way.
yeah. So there is a lot of that. So Black people in America would not look at the Queen and think, or the King, and think, oh yeah, she's awesome, because they've not grown up in that environment or having that kind of deference instilled within them. Whereas, Whereas like West Indian people, it's like, oh, the Queen's fucking nuts. She's amazing, and like, there's no logic there. It's just emotion that's kind of just been drummed into people,
Right.
And it's like, I remember my nan having a picture of Windsor Castle on her wall, and when she lived in Westminster, I was like, Nan, what's that picture? And she's like, oh, that's Windsor Castle. I was like, why you got a picture of that? Oh, it's where the Queen lives. I'm like, the fuck? Who cares?
That's interesting. That's interesting. And I think it's because we don't have a figurehead. So my understanding is that, like you said, like there's a separation between like the monarch and the actual democratic system, but our figureheads are our elected officials. So we don't have someone to just go do parades. Like if you doing parades, you better be writing bills and you better be showing up to work and doing something else. Because if you just doing parades, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I just wondered, given her role and I guess some of the history, that I get like, because like Mikey was saying, I saw people, particularly Americans, like being like, oh, like this lady doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. But I also saw, like I said, a lot of Brits being like, don't do too much. So
I've just seen in chat, Kermit P, the monarch does have power. I totally disagree with Wayne. Influence is power. That's not true. They're not supposed to have influence. The whole point, like you see, like this Prince Andrew thing where he's paid off someone for alleged things. That was done. that was done purely to save face. So it's basically the monarchy is like the Kardashians of the UK.
And we're back.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it into relevant.
Oh, and also, how's this for you?
Bye bye, Jazzy Jeff.
As Dave Chappelle once
remember when Dave was cool?
so poignantly said in the racial draft, man, fuck you. But I must say, influence is power. And if you have, especially when you're not supposed to be able to do shit, but you could call somebody at a drop of a hat and be like, yeah, let me whisper something in your ear. You know what I mean? And to think that the monarchy doesn't exert some influence, I think that's naive.
No, but it's over the democratic process. They have no power. There is nothing there.
But they have influence over those who do have power in the democratic process?
No.
The people in parliament, do they bend the knee?
So they don't have any influence over them at all.
No.
So those people in parliament could be like, man, fuck King Chaz.
The whole point of having our monarchy separated from our democratic process, i.e. we have a prime minister, we don't have a president, is the fact that they're just head of state in a symbolic nature. Yes, the palace has influence over certain things, but not over the democratic process. So when the palace want to do things, like, I mean, if the king and queen want to move around the country, they have power. They can just, block streets and do what the fuck they like. That's their power. But over the democratic process, they do not have any influence over that. It's written in doctrine. You can't.
But there's a lot of things that are written that are.
But I feel like he's saying, though, Haas, it's like they operate or function more like lobbyists, where they have the power of influence, but they don't have the power of decision making. They don't have the power of.
That's like Alec doesn't have the power of implementing, but we know that their name hasn't even been taken.
Yeah, but if you want to say that, though, Haas, like anybody got influence. Jeannie Thomas has influence over the Supreme Court.
Shit, I don't have influence.
Well, you're not married to a Supreme Court justice.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. The position of influence gives you power.
I think, I think he's saying that, but I think what he's just saying is that, yeah, you could make some phone calls and something could get done, but something also might not get done too. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say if he's calling somebody who's like a House of Representatives and it's me, you, and Mikey, who's a House of Representatives, he might call me and be like, yo, Anna, can you vote this way on this bill? And I'll be like, no. And then y'all two say yes. Like, yes, things got done, but no, the three of us didn't agree, so it didn't. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But then is there
no, Haas, let me cut you off there, mate. It's completely ambiguous on that front because, yes, they may have an opinion, but their opinion is not allowed into the actual process. You might have influence, sort of like as a lobbyist, yes, but you do not have actual power. And anyone who's got money can lobby any government or any body, but if you are the monarch, your lobby only goes as far as it can before you start crossing the line. When you cross that line that's already been imposed by law, then it becomes a problem. That's why.
And I think this is where I have been corrupted in my thinking, is because my view of those in power is, if you have power, if you have influence, you find ways to get what you want done. And they can't be like, they can't stand up in parliament and say, I'm voting this way because the queen said so. But just everything that's written isn't like adhered to, and we know that. So I just think that they're, and I could be wrong, and I hope I am. I hope that you are wrong. I hope that I am wrong, and that's how. And Prince and King Charles now goes, well, I want this because I'm a big environmentalist, but I can't call
he can't
the prime minister and be like, come here, dude.
No, he can't. That's the whole point.
And that's the thing. But that's the thing, is like, we know he can as a matter of law, but does that mean that he doesn't do it?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
That's a big assumption of altruism from the king.
No, if you look at Queen Elizabeth's reign, she didn't intervene in anything politically. She was not allowed
But
to.
how do you know?
Okay, so now you're being a conspiracy theorist.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
To be fair, Haas, you're not really giving him a way to answer you, because when he answers you, you say, "But why do you know that that's the answer?"
Well,
so I think
because
it's asked and answered, Your Honor.
I just want to comment on Kermit P in the chat here again. Mikey, if you can bring up the one that says her signature had no power, her words did indeed.
You just read it, so
again, prove it. Prove it. This is pure speculation. Pure speculation.
It's a circular conversation. So
right.
How did she protect her tosser son then, Wayne? She protected him by paying people.
Pause.
That's totally different.
What does tosser mean? Because I feel like I'm getting lost in the sauce.
Someone who masturbates a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
here I was thinking it just meant trash.
Wanker. No, this is
here I am. Do you think trash? And I'm just thinking even worse. I'm like, they just left the salad off of that.
Kermit, you don't have to make fun of me. I didn't know that tosser mean masturbator. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that's an excessive masturbator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I don't feel it.
Just wanker.
No, so that's crazy.
If someone says you fucking wanker.
I've seen that on TV. Now I would hate for somebody to call me that. That don't even sound like something you want to be called. Tosser, you might throw me for a loop on tosser, because it's like I really don't know what that is. Wanker, we gotta fight. We're fighting.
Tosser and wanker are the same thing.
Yeah. Oh,
that is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning so many things.
Right. So now I can throw that out as something. You didn't know about the loo?
I did know about the loo, but that was the only thing I knew.
And that's French, by the way.
You want to talk about the WC?
What do you say?
What do y'all call it? The water closet?
No, we called it the loo, or the toilet.
A water closet is different. There's no sink in a water closet.
The only time I said water closet was when I was a property adjuster with farmers insurance. Because on the diagram, we would call it the water closet instead of the toilet.
A property adjuster sounds kinky.
Property adjuster.
Adjust your property.
We're gonna move some furniture around.
Are you sure this is denied? Yes, it's denied. Damn it. That's more.
Yes. I said it. I said it already. Yes. Damn. Take yes for an answer. Any questions on? I forgot the name of the damn case. Just fell out of my head.
Brandenburg versus Ohio. So as it stands right now, because Brandenburg versus Ohio still stands as precedent, correct?
Yeah. Well, so my understanding is that yes, the principles still remain. I'm sure there's other cases that kind of clarify, but the clear and present danger test is still operative. So
unless you're like really saying go out and kill people,
it's basically
let's remember we're on the internet, so let's phrase things.
Yeah, let's not use certain language, Haas.
So basically, it's
so I can't say they can't use the whole sentence unless you're saying go out and do XYZ. I mean, that's a whole sentence in context.
The bots pick up shit and then they start listening to us and then they get shit out of context. So we just got to be careful with the trigger words.
We need to work on the AI of that shit.
Well, they're not going to. They don't care.
Well, unless you're being blatantly incendiary and insightful. It's protected under Brandenburg.
Well,
is that what we're saying?
Brandenburg basically just sets the limitations on free speech. So basically, you do have a right to free speech, but up to a point. And the clear and present danger test is basically you intended to say it, and you knew when you said it that there was a imminence of lawlessness and a likelihood that was going to happen. And so basically, in law school, the way we best describe this is yelling fire in a crowded theater, even though you know there is no fire.
Or like saying we have got to fight and take our government back at a rally before an election is certified.
So the difficulty with that is it could be that could test the limits of the Brandenburg test, but you basically have to know that there's going to be an imminence and likelihood. The thing about Trump is that
with
even
meeting with
outside,
meeting with members of far right militia groups that have weapons, having your emissaries meet those people, would that help?
I'm sure that if you're the prosecutor, that helps strengthen the claim, but I guess those circumstantial factors really point to the intent, really, of what you meant when you said those words. But if he has plausible deniability, like let's just say everybody around him set up those meetings with all those other groups and he himself never spoke to those groups and in theory never knew anything about those groups or never knew that activity was going on at the Capitol, then there's the plausible deniability might.
Oh, kind of like a drug dealer who doesn't touch the drugs.
Yeah, but you know what they did for those kind of situations is they just set up the RICO statutes, which basically you don't have to be touching the drugs, but as long as you are the head of the operation, basically now you can be implicated.
If you're the president of the operation.
So, yeah, but that's the operation. So here we can't show a criminal enterprise. We're really only talking about whether someone's speech pressed the bounds of free speech or whether their speech is liable for under civil law.
Like if
So
I
that's
told
really
like if
that
I had
he-
oh
Go
sorry.
ahead. No,
If I had
go ahead.
if I had a group of dudes that were all juiced up and did everything I said, and I went on TV and I said, execute the plan. All I said was the plan. If the plan was for all of these violent maneuvers, would I be safe under that if I said, okay, do it?
Stand
So
back
it's
and stand
difficult to
by.
say
Yeah, what if I said
because
stand back and stand by?
it's difficult to say because when you're talking about intent, it's intent. You have to basically intend for the action that resulted. Like,
Right.
so if you say execute the plan, how am I going to, as a prosecutor, going to tell other people what you meant by the plan? What if you meant put the stuff in the microwave and put it on 30 seconds? That was the plan. Like,
that's
how do
not
we know
enough. That's not enough.
meant by
Okay.
the plan? So
So
that's
if-
not
if-
enough.
If we-
Even though you know everyone's juiced around you and you said, oh, carry out the plan. And I'm not a prosecutor. Never been a criminal attorney on prosecution or defense. But in my interpretation of the statute and of the case law, I don't think that would be enough. Now, if you said, just go shoot somebody, why don't you like when Trump gave that speech where he was like, I just knock them out and basically ask people for getting. Not even the Fifth Avenue thing, the one where it was I like to just knock them out. Remember back in the old days,
yeah.
like he
back in the
like
old
that.
days, we just knocked those people out. Yeah.
That to me is more more evidence of intent.
Who believes that Trump's ever knocked out anyone, for fuck's sake?
Yeah, he don't fight.
He knocked out a bucket of chicken before he did that speech.
Yeah, he definitely don't fight.
He knocked one out before he did that speech.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it is. It's like we can all know what he meant, right? But the prosecution will have to show that he knew what he meant when he said it, and that he intended that outcome, and that outcome was likely, and the action was going to be imminent.
So basically, you're hiding behind a veil of opaqueness.
Ambiguity.
So here's the thing: the law, and it's really difficult to write this stuff to be a law because at some point you have to have somebody interpret it. But I think that one thing that courts try to do a balance of is basically like our First Amendment is among other rights, but our First Amendment right is the right to free speech, and like that's above all. So they really try hard not to curtail that right by limiting how people can speak, even if that speech is undesirable. But what they will say is what you're not going to do is you're not going to incite knowingly lawlessness and criminal activity because you said something in free speech, knowing that it was going to result in that. But the only way that we're going to hold your feet to the fire on that is if we can show that you knew what you were saying, you intended that statement, You knew that it was going to rile people up, and it's reasonably likely that they were going to get riled up as a result of your speech. So that's the test that we use to say. And if you can't show that objectively, or if a jury does not agree with that, or you can't establish every element, then it's very hard. So I don't want to say that it's opaque. It's just, it's a really, really, really high bar to curtail somebody's free speech.
So how does a established pattern of activity factor into that? Where
it just goes to intent.
Huh?
It just goes to intent. Like basically all the things that you're describing, all the circumstantial evidence, like like you said, like if you're meeting up with somebody, or you're talking about stuff in advance, you're having these discussions, or maybe you keep on doing this and you keep saying these triggers, like those things might factor into, did you know what you were saying when you said it? And did you know these people were going to be off the chain imminently, like immediately after you said it? But without that pattern of behavior, and even sometimes with the pattern of behavior, like I said, it's the plausible deniability. So somebody says,
I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know he was going to do that.
Go rough him up. Who is him? And who were you talking to? You didn't say anybody's name. Right. You didn't mention anybody's name. You didn't say anything. We all knew who you were talking to, but that's what a dog whistle is. And a dog whistle is not illegal speech.
So in legalese, you have to have a clearly defined target or victim. If you kind of scattergun it, you can't really pin that on anyone or anything, because you may say something that may be like, oh, those people over there. What people?
So I wouldn't say that
the people over there, the people right. That's Busta Rhymes. I'm sorry.
So it's not that specific, because like I gave the example of yelling, like you could be in a public space and yell fire. But what you know when you say fire is that you're going to create chaos, and that lawlessness may happen because people are scared. So you don't necessarily have to say like a fire is happening right here and it's his fault. Like you don't have to be that specific. But you do have to know that when you yell out fire or you say shooter, like people are gonna, react. So you can't do that. But like I said, in the context as a president, the insurrection, I think that like you would have to show that he knew what was going on at the time he said it, and basically that his words intended for those people to go do that. Now, a lot of people already was saying that they was going to do that when they showed up. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can somebody make you do something you were already going to do? So that's the difficulty, is because a lot of this stuff they were already going to do. Some people might have taken his words, but it's like, how are you going to prove that he intended for these folks to go do that? That's the difficulty. And even if they could, they really don't want to, because he's the president. And the optics of us already prosecuting a former president is like really bad. Sorry, Haas.
I just gotta. So that. Like, you can't tell me that you don't know that the Oath Keepers are there. You don't know that the 3%ers are there. You don't know that the Proud Boys are there. You don't know that you can't say you don't know that these groups who have a propensity for being armed and a propensity for being violent are at your rally.
You mean their Second Amendment right to carry?
Yeah. But
so is that a propensity for violence because they are exercising their rights?
No. The propensity for violence is their documented actions prior to the rally. So why would you go and be like, go fight and take our country back?
But it's I hear you, and trust me, I understand. But at the same time, how is that different than them saying Antifa, Black Panthers, Black Lives Matter have a propensity?
97% of those protests were not violent, and a lot of those 3%.
Yeah, but it's just like, but the 3% that were violent, and y'all named yours attached to them.
But there were a lot of those that were sought.
Yeah, but you see how we talking about numbers now, though. Yeah. Like, see, that's when it comes down into that. Like, when we say this group has a propensity for violence because they're known to bring guns, like
no, not because they're known to bring guns, because they're known to be violent. They're known to attack people.
I mean, how do you know that the folks in that crowd are the violent folks? Like, you know what I'm saying? If everybody's not a criminal, if everybody's not a violent person, if these people just are exercising their right to carry, and in no way am I supporting them at all?
We got to put the melanin test on it.
Now you know the test was already gonna be there.
Because when Black Lives Matter came to the Capitol the summer before, National Guard was there, and nobody had they weren't armed. But we know all of these people are coming in. They're all armed. We have many documented cases of them inciting violence, being violent, and nobody's around. And this guy's out saying whatever he want to say. And it's like now we got this high bar, and this high bar of what we got to say. But then when the melanated people are coming and everybody's on DEFCON 4, then though, that's bullshit.
Listen, I don't disagree with you. I think that's an accurate observation and assessment. But I will say is that think of the people who are in charge, though. Like, who's prosecuting these cases? Who's charged with enforcement of these cases? Who's going to be interpreting these laws? Who are the judges? Like, who are all of the people that are supposed to fix the issue that we're having? Who are they? They don't look like us.
Let me take another drink of my tequila.
I'm just saying, like, I get the frustration because it's like, no,
the bar is. I mean,
no, the law is not evenly applied.
No, because we're talking about free speech, but they're locking up rappers right now for lyrics.
Yeah, but that's also a free speech consideration because it's like, again, here's the bounds of free speech. Just with this test, there are limits to free speech, but for the most part, people are supposed to say whatever they want creatively or otherwise, which includes the right to lie. So even if you are a rapper, let's just say that's lying about your entire street life, you have the right to do that. And you have the right to artistic expression, again, regardless of whether that's tacky to people or whether or offensive or whatever. But the law protects offensive speech. The law protects
until they lock them up.
All types of the law protects all type of speech, but on speech, it's an extremely high bar for anybody. And not, and even more so for us, but it's an extremely high bar for who would be the regular person. Because the courts really because once you start curtailing speech, it's very difficult to put the toothpaste back in the tube on that.
And I would argue that statement, once you start curtailing speech, I think it's once you start curtailing certain people's speech, because other people's speech they use against them all the time and they're in jail now.
I agree. But again, that is an issue that is systemic racism. You know what I mean? That's not necessarily the specific legal issue. It's the uneven application of the issue to different groups. But I think it's important that we notate that we could talk about the legal statutes and we can talk about these things and how high the bar is, but we got to understand that bar is a sliding scale for in terms of how it's applied and how it's interpreted. And that in itself is a whole nother big ass can of bullshit. But that's law in general. Like no law. I'm like, as long as I've been doing this, there's not one law that applies fairly to some people to everybody. Like there's not one. So this is no different.
Oh, I know.
Of course, this man is getting all these opportunities and privileges and benefits of the doubt because of who he is. Right. He said he could shoot somebody. He told people to beat people up. He told them grab them by their parts.
Lotus flower.
Make fun of people with developmental and intellectual disability.
And
like you know what I'm saying? This is someone who paid a porn star. Everybody around him went to jail. He probably finna go to jail. Got impeached twice. Embarrassed us on many a stage. His kids embarrassing. Like even the kids embarrassing. Everybody embarrassing except the one young son, and that's because he's not even old enough to have done anything.
Yeah,
so it's
just
like
still
give him time.
70-something million people said that everybody was lying but him.